Okay, for this video, we are going to take a look at powers of 10. So what I have here is listed our powers of 10 from 1 to 1 million. 1 to 1 million. And we're going to take a look at why we work with powers of 10. We work with powers of 10 because when we're multiplying by powers of 10 or dividing by powers of 10, the math is a lot easier. And you learned this in 4th and 5th grade. You know that 5 times 1 is 5, 5 times 10 is 50, 5 times 100 is 500, 5 times 1,000 is 5,000, okay? Now, you learned this when you were in 4th and 5th grade. All we're doing is annexing the zeros. So 1 times 5 is always going to be the other number. So 5 times 1, 6 times 1, 7 times 1. But then you annex the zeros to increase the value. So this is why we look at powers of 10. Now, when you are working in 4th grade and 5th grade, we know that we can make, I'm going to kind of draw a line here. We can make 1 by just doing 1 times 1. 1 times 1 is 1, okay? And then to make 10, we just have 1 times 10. But to make 100, we actually have 2 tens, 10 times 10. That would make 100. And then to make 1,000, we actually have 3 groups of 10. 10 times 10 times 10. Then to make 10,000, we actually have 4 groups of 10. Okay? So some of you, most of you have that memorized up to this point. You know that 1 is 1 times 1. You know that 10 is 1 times 10. But once we get past 10, we have multiples of 10. That's why we call them powers of 10, because we're increasing by a multiple of 10. So 10 times 10, 100. 10 times 10 times 10, 1,000. So you can see the zeros. See the zeros? 1, 2, 3. Annexed 1, 2, 3. 2 zeros, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1 0, 1, no zeros, no zeros. Okay, so we're going to keep going here with the 100,000. 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 plus one more times 10. Okay, so that would be 100,000. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 powers of 10. Last but not least, 1 million would be 6 powers of 10. All right, now, as you get into middle school, you start to work with exponents. So exponents are just a shorter way of writing 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. So just a quick little review about exponents, and you probably already know this, but there's exponent has a base. In this case, the base is 10. And the exponent is how many times we're multiplying that 10. So in this case, we have 2 tens. So that's my exponent. I'm multiplying the number 10 2 times. This is not 10 plus 10. That's not right. It's 10 times 10. So the exponent tells me how many times I'm going to multiply the base by itself. So 2 tens, 10 times 10. All right, so instead of writing out all these zeros, mathematicians have come up with an easier way to write the powers of 10. So instead of doing 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, we just say 10 to the power of 6. How many tens do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 10 to the power of 6. 100,000 has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tens. So that would be 10 to the power of 5. 10,000 has 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would be 10 to the power of 4. 1,000 has 3 tens. So that's 10 to the power of 3. 100 has 2 tens. So that's 10 to the power of 2. 10 has 1 10. So that's 10 to the power of 1. How many zeros or how many tens do we have with 1? 0. So it's 10 to the power of 0. Okay, so you can see this really cool pattern here. This helps us with multiplying because when we start working with larger numbers, we could say 5 times 10 to the power of 6. 5 times 10 to the power of 6 is actually 5 million. Okay, and you don't need to write out 1 million unless you really want to, okay? But 5 times 10 to the power of 6 is the same thing as saying 5 million. So this is just a shorthand way of multiplying by powers of 10 using exponents. I would memorize these exponents. You should have your exponents of 10, your powers of 10 memorized from 1 to a million. It'll make life a little bit easier for you. But if you're ever wondering, how many do I have? Check the zeros. Millions. How many zeros does a million have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 10 to the 6th power. Okay, it's a good, quick, easy way to write your powers of 10.